All right, people, hello and welcome to Liverpool.
Come on.
So the question is, why am I here in Liverpool talking about the Mississippi Blues Trail and things to do in Mississippi? Well, to answer that question, I've come to the birthplace of the Beatles, the iconic Cavern Club. So we have just seen Super Chicken downstairs, who flew over from Mississippi for this, the unveiling of the first Mississippi Blues Trail marker in the UK, to signify the link between the Beatles here in Liverpool and the influence of the Mississippi Blues and Elvis himself. Okay, now let's talk in more detail about the Blues Trail, as it is one of the main things to do in Mississippi before I move on to some of my other tips for things to do here. The Blues Trail is split into 3 sections, the North, the South and Central, and they have a handy app and a Google map with all of the different Blues Trail markers pinned on it. I'll drop a link to both of those in the description below, but they have markers in places like California, New England, Pensacola in Florida, and now of course our very own one here in Liverpool. So drop me a comment if you've seen any of the markers outside of Mississippi. Okay, let's move on to some of the must-see spots. First, you have the B.B. King Museum and Delta Interpretive Center. You have Tupelo and the birthplace of Elvis, which I'll come back to later. You have Clarksdale, the Robert Johnson Crossroads, and you must go and see some music at the Ground Zero Blues Club. And finally, you have the Grammy Museum in Cleveland. All of these are just scratching the surface of the whole of the Blues Trails, but they're some of the key spots you have to hit. Now moving on to some of the other things you must do in Mississippi. The first one of my favorites, was exploring the Nachez Trace. It's an old Indian trail that is now a national parkway. How cool is that? Some of the routes are dated back to over 200 years old, but I'm pretty sure they used it much longer ago than that. You can learn all about this incredible historic parkway. You can even cycle along it, but if cycling is not for you, there's plenty of hiking and exploring to do here. Cycling on the Nachez Trace. We're on the multi-use trail currently. We just stopped at the craft center. That's well worth a stop. Just a quick word of warning, if you are going to ride on the Nachez Trace itself, the main road, then I do recommend 2 things. One, you have lights. Well, you have to have lights and a helmet. You'll be facing a fine if not. And you got to be competent. You got to be a quick and competent and a confident cyclist, because there's no messing around there. They're not really that keen. They don't give you a lot of space, but it's quite a buzz. I mean, you're cycling on the Nachez Trace. Pretty cool. Loving this so far. I mean, look at this. You can't beat it. Then you have the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Did you know Mississippi has such beautiful golden sand beaches? All right, beer and fishing, can't beat it, Mississippi. We spent one morning learning about the protected bird life, in particular the least terns, and all of the work that the fantastic conservation teams are doing there. And we even went fishing and caught our own catch to eat for lunch. Look at this, as fresh as it gets. We're walking our fish up to the restaurant to be cooked now. Love that. Then you have Tupelo, Elvis's birthplace. You have the Elvis Guitar Trail and the Mural Trail. Both of those are must-dos. And we have arrived now in Tupelo, and we're heading to the Gumtree Wine and Art Festival now. Usually that's not on, and you can actually do a bike tour, an Elvis bike tour. But look at this. On the way to the festival, we stopped by the Elvis statue. This is where he did his first ever live show. I absolutely love the general vibe in Tupelo, and another must visit is the Tupelo Hardware store. You come to the famous hardware store where Elvis came for his 11th birthday, came in to buy a gun. We wanted to buy a gun, but they bought him a guitar, which was bought right here, look. X marks the spot. There's a bunch of Elvis memorabilia all around here. It's a really cool shop, and it's still a functioning hardware shop today. How cool is that? And moving on to a couple of things that I didn't quite have time to do. The first is the Tishomingo State Park for hiking, swimming and camping under the stars. Then why not go hiking in the DeSoto National Forest and visit the Vicksburg National Military Park. Plenty of things to do in Mississippi. It's a state that just keeps on giving and I cannot wait to go back. So there you go, my must-do things in Mississippi, including the Blues Trail and our very new marker in Liverpool. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Go check out my other 2 videos on Mississippi, specifically on Tupelo, the Nachez Trace, and the Gulf Coast. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, comment any questions, any other things to do at all. You can always turn on the notifications too. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and of course, happy travels.